Hello, Jack McDowell here, Black Jack McDowell, and you're watching the Sports Circus, which is totally cool. So you have a great time watching. Have some fun.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMTV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as everybody else that is streaming on pick your favorite streaming platform, and everybody that is watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable affiliates from coast to coast, plus Hotel TV where applicable. All right, so we know today's show is brought to you by, but now I want to throw it over to the governor of West Virginia. Actually, he's not with us today, but I figured I'd throw it out there just because it's pretty interesting. A lot of people have a real problem with this topic, and I'm one of them. And let's just find out how many of you listening in, whether it's in Atlanta or in Hawaii or in LA or in Chicago, New York, or driving from LA to Vegas, who knows, or maybe even in Auburn, Alabama. Listen, folks, there's a problem with this equality issue in competition for women's sports. Now, according to Fox News, West Virginia governor vows to protect women's sports as trans athlete competes for girls' state championship? Oh, come on, man. I mean, seriously, at some point, we have to just say, all right, what is going on here? Enough of this already. Well, it turns out that, yes, they're at it again. When I say they, that would be the other team. Now, West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey vowed to keep up the fight to protect women's and girls' sports as transgender athletes competing against girls in the state championship is actually going on. So here lies Becky Pepper Jackson, a 13-year-old freshman at Bridgeport Senior High School, who has been the subject of a Supreme Court case about their participation in girls' sports. Finished in third place in the discus event and eighth in the shot put event. And, well, guess what? As Pepper Jackson took part in the meet, Morrissey urged officials to keep separate scores. In fact, Morrissey wrote on Facebook, quote, "A boy is currently competing in girls' sports at the high school state track meet in West Virginia. It's wrong and unfair. I'm again urging officials to keep separate scores so that the true winners can be awarded once we win in court. We will not stop fighting to protect girls' sports." Close quote. Hey, listen, I support this as well. I guess what I want to know is what the hell is the governor doing on Facebook? Anyway, that's another discussion for another time. So nonetheless, a federal appeals court blocked a West Virginia law that would have kept both biological males from competing against girls in women's sports a year ago. And the court said the law cannot lawfully be applied to a middle school age trans girl who has been taking puberty blocking medication and has publicly identified as a girl since the third grade? Yeah, you're hearing this just like I am, folks. West Virginia has since made an appeal to the Supreme Court regarding the appeals court ruling. So a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, the Supreme Court justices refused to disturb an appeals court order that made it possible for the girl to continue playing on her middle school's track and cross country teams. So as West Virginia high school track and field moves into the postseason, Morrissey, the governor, called on coaches to let athletes, quote, take a stand, close quote. And of course, well, let's see what's happened here. So go ahead and take a stand and against transgender participating in girls' sports. And as a matter of fact, he wrote on Facebook, I believe what's going on is wrong in West Virginia, with boys playing sports against girls to be abhorrent and contrary to law while we wait for the Supreme Court to issue their ruling in this case. I'm calling on all coaches involved to let these brave athletes take a stand for what is right without calling unfair punishment. This story really bothers me, but nonetheless, here's another quote. As we all walk towards removing the wrongly decided injunction in upcoming months, I ask for all tournament officials to keep a full set of records so that the true winners of each event may be recognized when the Supreme Court rules in our favor. Close quote. That's again by Morrissey. Hey, listen, first of all, I'm going to absolutely applaud him. I'm giving him the super applause. Yes! And you ask, why am I giving the super applause? Well, we'll let the crowd dissipate here a little bit. Well, the reason I'm giving them the super applause is because in case you don't know, look, this isn't a boy-girl, me saying this position or that position. No, this is about genetics. Boys are 40% stronger than girls. Men are 40% stronger than women. And this is as a group. This is not one-on-one because there are some women out there that can kick guys' asses, and we know that. But what I'm trying to say here in the grand scheme of things is it's not fair for the boys to compete in girls' sports because they already have a genetic advantage at a 40% strength. And you can go ahead and find that on Google or whatever. Go ahead and search that one yourself in case you're wondering if I'm full of crap or not. Well, I'm not. Well, the reality is, because I've actually researched this over and over, the reality is boys are stronger. They should not compete in girls' sports, period. However, if girls want to compete in boys' sports, I mean, they're already at a severe disadvantage in strength. But the reality is, I think it's okay for girls to compete in boys' sports because they're already at the disadvantage. They're not as strong. And hey, if they're good enough, they should be good enough. I go back to when I was a little kid, and I remember my sister was very, very good at playing baseball, just like me. And albeit a year and a half older than me, she was very good. She threw just as hard as me. Well, maybe a little bit less, but she threw very hard. She played the hot corner. She played third base, and she was good. She could hit like a boy. She could throw like a boy, and she was still a girl, and it's just amazing. Of course, she grew up to be a very strong human even today, in tremendous condition, and a former natural bodybuilder, not one with steroids and all those performance-enhancing drugs and all this other stuff. But my point is, if the girls can compete, even I remember Susie Simpson, my sister's friend, she was playing in the boys' baseball league when we were in Little League because she was that good, just like my sister. And a lot of the girls were just as good. Anita Castronova, she was another one, just really good at sports and just a strong girl. And the list goes on and on. It just happened that maybe it was our neighborhood. I don't think so. I just think the fact that we all played together, we all grew together, we got strong together, we competed against one another, and everybody was good. It didn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl. But in this particular case in West Virginia, now you have a boy that's competing at the state championship level in high school sports. And at some point, I guess they have to draw a line. And the line is apparently in West Virginia before high school. So middle school and before, they don't really care if there's dual competing. But now this individual who is competing, this Becky, what was her name? Becky, bear with me here. Becky Pepper Jackson. All right, so Becky Pepper Jackson competing, or better yet, since third grade identifying as a girl. That's what the article had said. And so it's hard to argue against that. in the first place. I mean, this is a real messy situation. And so where do you draw the line with this? So you could say, well, is Becky Pepper Jackson a girl or a boy or it's trans? I don't know. I mean, I'm not very hip to this whole language, so you'll have to excuse me, but I'm sure there are some people out there that feel the same way as me with this. I mean, look, if you can compete with the boys, that's fine, but you shouldn't be a boy competing with the girls because it's not fair. And so there's a lot of cases where we've heard that the boys couldn't beat the boys, so they went on to do what? To compete against the girls. Come on! That's ridiculous. Sorry, folks, but at some point we got to draw a line. And I believe that the governor of West Virginia is actually doing the right thing here and saying, hey, look, make sure you keep separate scores. This way we know who won. And Governor Patrick Morrisey, I don't always agree with what he says, but in this particular case, I'm going to give him the big nod of yes, because I think he's doing the right thing. And this guy has been known to do unpredictable things, but I have to say that this one, he is absolutely on the right side of the fence for. And good for you, Governor Patrick Morrisey of West Virginia. Yes! All right, folks. When we come back, we're going to, if that one gave you the yips or something of the sort, if they caught you off guard, guess what? We got something for you that may also catch you or some of the other athletes or former athletes off guard, or maybe they have been in their past. Don't go anywhere. Back here on the Circus in a few. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportcircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Folks, make sure you check them out. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio affiliates, television affiliates, watching that is. And of course, including our friends over on 99.1 FM, waking up with us over in Atlanta, WDJY. Thanks for listening in on your drive home over in Auburn, Alabama, actually from Columbus, Georgia, all the way up to Montgomery on WAUD, that's home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcome into everybody else up and down the Midwest and throughout the heartland, out to the West Coast. Those driving between Las Vegas and Los Angeles on Interstate 15 on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Thanks for joining us. Also, over in LA up to Seattle, as well as Anchorage, Alaska. Folks, we're everywhere. You can't get away from us. Even our friends in Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. Thanks for joining us on home of the Yankees, 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. By the way, folks, if you're looking for a little bit of travel, hey, the weather's good. And how about a couple of free nights here in Las Vegas or in Branson, Missouri, or in Orlando, Florida? Our friends over at Vacation Buddies are bringing you this. And guess what? If you can answer just a simple trivia question, you may have a couple of nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. Here's the question. Which basketball player, which superstar basketball player has won 6 NBA championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? Again, which superstar NBA player has won 6 NBA championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777 for your chance to pick up a couple of nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. Again, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but wants to give you a couple of nights. So give them a call, 888-576-5777. You select Branson, Missouri, Las Vegas, Nevada, or Orlando, Florida. Take your pick.
Excellent.
All right, folks, in the last segment, we were talking a little bit about the boy competing in the girls' sports. But how about this? I mean, never mind all that. Let's say you get past that, and let's say you're a baseball player, and let's say you climb the ladder, and you're doing well. As you climb the ladder, you finally find yourself in Major League Baseball after that long, and I mean long and bumpy road. Well, it does happen where things get a little out of hand from time to time, and sometimes you just get a little bit nervous as you're climbing up that ladder, so to say. Well, guess what? It went really bad for Marlins rookie Ronnie Simon. This guy, I mean, I feel for the guy, but there's no crying in baseball. He leaves in tears. Yes, he leaves in tears after being pulled following a 3-error performance. That's right. Hey, listen, folks. I'm not booing him because he made 3 years. I'm booing him because he's crying in baseball. Listen, Miami Marlins rookie Ronnie Simmons actually left the field in tears after committing 3 errors in 3 innings. I mean, look, hey, man, it happens from time to time. Just look, I can give you stories about this, but let's carry on with this one. Nonetheless, after 3 innings, yes, leading the way for the Padres to rally from a 6-run deficit to win the game. So he cost his team a game. Listen, there's 162 games, and believe me, there are other players that are going to cost the team as well. Nonetheless, this guy, Ronnie's a second baseman, and he was replaced in the bottom of the fifth inning after the Padres managed to tie the game at 6 off his mounting mistakes. So he made his way to the dugout, tears filling his eyes, before eventually making his way to the clubhouse. And he did not return, of course, for the remainder of the game, not even into the dugout to sit with his teammates. And of course, Marlins manager Clayton McCullough said after the game, quote, "Things just started to snowball a little bit and, compound effect. It was tough." And just thought for him, and I just thought for us, that just a moment, that making the change, there was a prudent, just how things had transpired. And look, you have to realize, oh, by the way, close quotes, you got to realize, folks, that life does happen out on the field too. I mean, the errors began to pile up in the second inning when he dove for Tyler Wade's grounder. The ball deflected off his glove for an RBI single. And, if you dive for a ball, I'm not so sure how that's an error in the first place, because a regular baseball play would be where an error, if you make an error on that, if you drop the ball or boot it or something or another, that's what would constitute an error. But a diving attempt typically does not constitute that. But then again, if you're home or away, that makes a difference. And by the way, this game was played in San Diego, so probably the official scorer had looked and said, let's make this an error because we can. Well, nonetheless, the ball did deflect off his glove, RBI single. And when he chased down the ball, which had rolled into foul territory, he put catcher Agustin Ramirez off home plate, allowing another runner to score. Okay, so the throw was offline. All right, so be it. Anyway, so Simon followed that with a fielding error and then a throwing error on back-to-back plays in the fourth inning. All right, so the guy is obviously a little bit nervous here. And he's a rookie. It is what it is. So he had another hiccup in the third when he missed a ground ball, but the official scorer changed that call to a single by Xander Bogaerts. And of course, an empathetic Fernando Tatis Jr. said after the game, quote, "It happens. It's baseball. Everyone that has won a gold glove or a platinum glove has had one of those nights. I definitely know he's a great player. He's won MVP from the Winter League over there in the Dominican, and I've seen him play really good baseball, and I have no doubt that he's going to be a great baseball player," close quote. And you know what? Just for Fernando Tatis saying that, hey, man, buddy, I feel you, man, because it does happen. And, of course, it was a big comeback. And, of course, that whole get up, that whole explanation was brought to you by the Associated Press, or as compliments of them. But listen, folks, I could tell you, back in my playing days, I have seen the same exact thing. And imagine this. When your game is 60 foot 6 inches as a pitcher, you're on the pitcher's mound, and there's a distance of 60 foot 6 inches. Your game is 60 foot 6 inches. Now, if your team needs a speedy guy, and they need somebody with a big arm, and they're doing flip-flopping of the orders and whatnot, and substitutions and all kinds of third-party changes. There's all kinds of stuff. We used to have that kind of stuff in baseball. We don't really see those kinds of things anymore. No more double switches. But I was once placed out in center field. Now, mind you, in center field, you got the home run wall about 400 foot, and the center fielder sets up about 330 feet thereabouts from home plate. And so here's the problem. Here I'm now in center field. My game is 60 foot 6 inches, but now suddenly it is expanded to 330 foot. So now you have a depth perception problem. You have a fielding problem because now the ball's coming at you in different ways on deep fly balls or sharp line drives, maybe two hoppers that would bounce up, and who knows, maybe crazy hops, spins off the bat. I mean, who knows? All kinds of crazy things. So here's me. I'm that guy that I see the ball, and outfielders, in case you don't know, they read the ball off the way the batter swings the bat, right? And so I'm not really skilled at that. I never was skilled at that. And so they put me out there because I had a big arm. But then again, they said, well, hey, listen, we need you in the game because you still can steal bases and you could still hit, because that's back when pitchers hit. And so here I am. I watched the ball come off the bat, and I'm running in to catch that line drive. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the ball is sailing over my head. Yeah, that was me. And I had I had 3 of these plays in one inning. One, I actually ran in on the next hitter, and luckily, I jumped up to make a spectacular catch. Of course, had I stayed still exactly where I was lined up in the first place, where I was told to by the bench coach, well, then I would have been in perfect position just to field the ball without even moving my feet. But, of course, I'm not going to listen. And then, of course, on another one, I ran back thinking the ball was hit a lot deeper because now the last couple of balls were hit over my head. Technically, I thought I was playing too far in. And so now I'm running back, and I'm like, oh, no, that ball's going to drop in front of me. And I had to make a diving catch in front of me. Again, had I just stood still where I was told to line up by the bench coach, well, guess what? I would have made a simple catch, regular can of corn, right? Well, this is what happens. And sometimes, look, I had no case of the yips or anything like that. We're going to get into that in the next segment. But it's just that my game was completely off. Now, this guy, well, he just had a bad day. But sometimes players are put in different locations. And when you look at Rafi Devers for the Boston Red Sox, he wasn't the best third baseman, but he wanted to get out there and contribute for his team. When Alex Bregman came to the Boston Red Sox, he said, wait a minute, you're taking the glove out of my hand. Well, he did make a few errors here. But guess what? At the same time, they got better at third base. Well, until the injury to Alex Bregman. But my point is, sometimes it's for your own good to just get out of the way or to follow what the coaches say. And maybe in Mr. Simon's case, Ronnie Simons, he just had a bad day. And look, it happens, folks. So we're going to give him a pass. And don't worry about it, Ronnie. You're going to get him next time. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Excellent.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, a prior guest, recorded shows which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, and a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. And one of those is the music of Jason Owens. And he is a country music up-and-coming star. Folks, check him out at jasonowensmusic.com. This guy is good. Played over 200 times at the major strip properties in Las Vegas and even the Old Reds here in Vegas, as well as, I believe, in Nashville and even Gatlinburg, Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Boy, the guy's good. Check him out. jasonowensmusic.com. jasonowensmusic.com. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are. And by the way, if you're just tuning in right now, in the last segment, we gave a trivia question by our friends over at Vacation Buddies. And if you guess the right answer, you could pick up a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Branson, Missouri, or in Orlando, Florida. Very simple question. Here it is. Which NBA superstar has won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? Again, which NBA superstar has won 6 NBA championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. Call right now and claim your 2 nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. And of course, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they sure want to help you out. And give them a call, 888-576-5777, on your little vacation. Go ahead, folks. Yes! And I say little vacation because it's maybe a couple of days. Maybe it's more of a getaway. Some people call them weekend getaways. Some people just call them vacations. I don't know what the heck to call it. All I know is I like free, and free 90 free is the right price. All right, folks. So in the last segment, talking about Ronnie Simon with his unfortunate issues at second base. And it happens. Sometimes you have bad games, and that's okay. But there is something out there, in case you don't know, and it is technically called or referred to as the yips. Now, you may have heard this, maybe you haven't. In sports, the yips are a sudden and unexplained loss of ability to execute certain skills in experienced athletes. Symptoms of the yips are losing fine motor skills and psychological issues that impact the muscle memory and decision-making along of athletes, leaving them unable to perform basic skills of their sport. So some people say it's a case of the nerves, some say it's a case of the yips, or whatever the hell it is. Well, that's the technical side of it. And of course, the exact cause of the yips is still not really fully understood. And I mean, a yips episode may last as short as the blink of an eye. You never know. Or it could go on for days, for weeks, and even for careers. You never know. And the worst cases are those where the athlete does not recover at all, forcing the player to abandon the sport at the highest level. Causes include, but may not be limited to, performance anxiety and neurological conditions. Who knew? And also, there have been a plethora of treatment options tested to really find out and drill down on this idea of the yips, including clinical sports psychology therapy, motor imagery, pre-performance routines, medication, toxins, and acupuncture. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And emotional freedom techniques. Yeah, that's right. Emotional freedom techniques. Never even heard of that one. However, their possible effectiveness is primarily based on personal experience rather than well-founded research evidence. And I mean, look, you can get together and have intervention and a thorough treatment plan or whatnot. It's still not going to necessarily cure this. So brain activity in the yips, yeah, that's a real issue. So a specific 2021 study using EEG, and I believe that is encephalogram, electroencephalogram recordings to measure, found that athletes with the yips show increased brain activities in the alpha band, which initiating movements, especially when increasing force output to match the target. In this particular study, increased brain activity in the alpha and beta bands of the treatment group and the movement compared to the control group suggests that heightened brain activity might indicate problems with the ability in the systems to whether they increase in the body parts to involved in the task as well. So basically people are getting nervous. They're getting real nervous. But why are they getting nervous? I mean, further research must be conducted, But guess what, folks? It happens in many different sports, even in golf. And think about this. In golf, the yips is a movement disorder known to interfere with putting. That's right. So the term yips is said to have been popularized by Tommy Armour. Now, I have Tommy Armour irons, and I don't have the yips when I use his irons. Anyway, a champion golfer and later a golf teacher. But to explain the difficulties that led to him abandoning tournament play. In describing the yips, golfers have used terms such as twitches, staggers, jitters, jerks, whatever. And the yips affected between a quarter and half of all mature golfers. Who knew? So researchers at the Mayo Clinic found that 33 to 48% of all serious golfers have experienced the yips. And golfers who have played more than 25 years appear to be the most prone to it. You know, you'd think you would get a little bit deeper in your career and you're like, well, I've already seen this movie before, so I'm not going to have a case of that. Well, guess what? That's not the case according to the research that has been conducted at the Mayo Clinic. Although the exact causes have yet to be determined, as I mentioned, one possibility is a biochemical change in the brain that accompany aging. So excessive use of the involved muscles and intense demand of coordination and concentration may exacerbate the problem. Giving up golf for a month sometimes helps. And so there's something called focal dystonia has also been mentioned as another possibility for the cause of yips. So professional golfers seriously affected by the yips include Ernie Els, David Duval, Harrington, Langer, Ben Hogan, Harry Vardon, Snead, Baker Finch, Keegan Bradley, who missed a 4-foot putt in the final round of the 2013 HP Brian Nelson Championship due to the condition, although he may have been suffering from something else too. However, at the 2015 Waste Management Open, Nick Faldo suggested that Tiger Woods, but you can call him Eldrick, could be suffering from the yips. Jay Yarrow from Business Insider commented after the 2014 Open that Woods had both putting yips and driving yips. So interventions seeking to treat affliction have been few and far between, though. Some golfers have tried changing their putting, their grip, and even their switching hands or whatnot, and these strategies really haven't done anything. And so they're also known as freezing, the jerks, staggers, woggles, and whiskey fingers. Never heard of whiskey fingers. And that's just in golf. And so there's a lot of golfers out there listening to this show today. You're like, hey, I just can't seem to hit this putt. I can't seem to hit this shot. I don't know what it is. It's only 3 or 4 feet away and I'm missing by a foot. Even in tennis. Yeah, it exists in tennis. The yips most often affect the second serve, right? Because the first one is the one you're being real aggressive on, leading to a lot of double faults. But several top players have been afflicted and affected by yips in recent years, including Zverev and Sabalenka. In the beginning of 2022, for example, Zverev served a record 20 double faults. That's right, 20 double faults in the 2019 Cincinnati Masters first round loss. While, of course, Sabalenka served up 39 double faults in her first two losses in the 2021 Adelaide 1 and Adelaide 2 tournaments from 2005 to 2018. Even Giro Macoria, a former world number 3, suffered the same thing. Yes, it happens in cricket too. Believe it or not, it happens in cricket. I'm not going to get into the cricket side, but it happens in cricket. Now, in baseball is where we see quite a bit of it. That's where much of the talk has been. And, I mean, look, that has been the inability to throw the ball accurately or to do certain things, just basic functions. And they're also more apparent in pitchers and catchers. Players who touch the ball the most in the game, obviously they're the ones that have the most visibility. Going back to Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Steve Blass as an example, from 1964 to 1972, he was a dominant pitcher and all-star. However, beginning in 1973, he suddenly lost his command, issuing 84 walks in 88 2/3 innings pitched. He retired in 1974 due to continued loss of his pitching ability. So known as Steve Blass disease, believe it or not, Steve Blass disease has been attributed to talented players such as Yankees second baseman Chuck Knobloch or LA Dodgers and New York Yankees second baseman Steve Sachs. Now, we've had Steve on the show. We never talked about it, but maybe we should sometime, who suddenly lost their ability to throw the ball accurately to first base. And that's a real short throw, folks. Saxon's problem began in his third season in the majors, but he continued to play in the league and seemingly recovered in 1989, going on to finish a career in 1994. And so we're going to continue with this. We're going to go into other players. And the Yips, it's a really big deal, folks. I mean, people say, well, let's just kind of brush it off because of this, that, and the other. Folks, if you've never played a sport at the highest level, I can assure you the stress is incredible. And my experience playing, I can tell you it is not easy. The faster you go up, the higher you go up the food chain, the harder the game gets, and the more critical the game gets. Back here in a few with the Yips in just a few minutes.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Thanks for joining us here on your favorite station. And you know, folks, we've been doing this for quite a while. We've got a couple thousand episodes that you can listen to on Pick Your Favorite streaming platform. Also, folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our partners. Lots of great partners. One of those is Al's #1 Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy for Al's #1 Italian Beef. And folks, by the way, in case you can't get over there, check them out at alsbeef.com. And you can read all about the famous Italian beef sandwich. Very, very different than that Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Yes, and I did say sandwich. Nonetheless, the Italian beef is really a masterpiece. It was put together back in about 1905, thereabouts, about 1905. And it was by the Ferrara family. And as a matter of fact, the owners of Al's Beef, listen, they've been around since 1938. It was their family that created the sandwich. So check them out at alsbeef.com if you can't get down to 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. All right, back with the yips. And so, by the way, welcome back to everybody. All right, so talking about the old Steve Blass disease. He was a pitcher that just couldn't find the strike zone anymore. He's issuing walks left, right, and center. He played from 64 to 72, quit in 74 because he just could not throw strikes. Anyway, so this whole issue with being able to throw the ball, for example, from second to first, and would take guys like Chuck Knobloch or Steve Sachs, had problems doing that from second baseman throwing it to first base. And look, there's even a catcher, Mackey Sasser. New York Mets catcher Mackey Sasser could not throw the ball back to the pitcher without tapping his mitt several times. That's right. Even San Francisco Giants outfielder Brett Butler once stole third base during a Sasser yip. I'm not even going to hit a laughing thing on that. I mean, that's just a crappy thing, but that's kind of like Bush League baseball. But then again, it's not. Sasser's problem became worse after the 1990 collision at home plate with Jim Presley of the Atlanta Braves, leading to a decrease in Sasser's playing time, of course, and release from the Seattle Mariners in 1994. Mark Wohlers, another pitcher, had the same problem. And, of course, he was with the Atlanta Braves, and he was called, quote, the 1990s poster child for Steve Blass syndrome, close quote. And he recovered enough to return pitching, but not to the same level. Now, Rick Ankiel lost his control as a pitcher during the 2000 National League Division Series. After several years of deteriorated performance, coupled with injuries, he subsequently returned in 2007 as a productive outfielder. Hey, now that's pretty darn good. Not really, but then again, we're going to give him that round of applause. It's hard to go from a pitcher to an outfielder. I already talked to you about that earlier in the show, and my experience wasn't very good. Johnny Lester, here's another guy. Now, Lester, you may remember him. He played for the Boston Red Sox and for the Cubs, and this guy said to have suffered the yips on his pickoff attempts to first base. So when he threw to first, who knows what was going to happen. In fact, he did not throw to first at all. In 2014, he said, nah, I'm just not going to do it. In fact, he even struggled to make accurate throws the next year, too. So for the rest of his career, when required to field a hit ball, Lester would run most of the way to first base and underhand throw the ball, and on longer throws, would spike it into the turf to reduce the chances of throwing it past the bag. I mean, folks, that's a real thing. Now, his team also attempted to compensate for the problem with their catchers throwing back picks, of course, to first to try to keep the runners closer to first base. But I'll tell you, when you're throwing the ball overhand, here's an interesting thing. When you throw the ball overhand at regular rate as a pitcher to the catcher, that's your world. But when back in the old days, when you couldn't just give an automatic intentional pass, you actually had to throw the ball 4 times. In many cases, the pitcher would either throw the ball over the catcher's head because they're not used to lobbing the ball into the catcher, or they would throw it way off to the side. The catcher would miss the ball, or they would spike it into the ground, anything, because they weren't used to throwing these lob kind of pitches. And so when they made Major League Baseball said, no, you could just give an automatic pass to first base, I think that really hurt the game, just like with the double switches and having the pitchers hit. That really changed the game. I'm a National League fan. When it comes to that, I'm a former National League kind of pitcher anyway. But as I see it, I say they've taken a lot of the parts of the game out. And I mean, look, Johnny Lester's problem, he was a really good pitcher. Unfortunately, his problem is a real problem. It just happens, folks. I mean, whether it's in baseball or, it happens in gymnastics or other sports or whatnot. Look, the yips is a real thing, and it is a real condition, too. So you may joke about it, or people may joke about it, but it's no laughing matter. I mean, ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what is a laughing matter and what isn't? And that's within your own ethics and morals. So if you're morally bankrupt, you're going to laugh at everybody just because you can. But honestly, if you have a heart and if you have some kind of moral compass, that means you're going to pay attention to these things, and you're not going to be a complete jerk when it comes to somebody having some kind of a debilitating issue or some disability, if you know what I mean. All right, moving on. So we think of food after all that. I got kind of hungry. How about you guys? And ladies, we all got a little bit hungry thinking about this, and depending on where you're driving, guess what? You could be hungry right now. It could be the morning in Atlanta. It could be driving between Vegas and LA on Interstate 15, listening to Highway Country Radio on 101.5 and 107.3 FM. You could be in Honolulu. Hell, you could be in Auburn, Alabama. You could be anywhere. You could be in Chicago listening to this right now. Well, guess what? How about this? And we're going to stay in Southern California on this, and we're going to talk about the crowned champions, the grand champion of favorite burger chains in these United States of America. Yes! And we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, because we are not going to give away the top spot just yet. So what we're going to run from 25 all the way to the top quickly. 25, Steak and Shake. It's pretty mediocre in my opinion. 24 is Checkers or Rallies. Extraordinarily mediocre. 23, Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. is actually pretty darn good and better than some of these other ones. 22 is Wendy's. 21, Fat Burger. This is a big disappointment because Fat Burger belongs in the top 10. No question. Same thing with number 20, White Castle. White Castle belongs in the top 10 easily. Burger King, number 19. Sonic, number 18. Probably where it belongs. McDonald's, 17. Where it belongs. Smash Burger, no comment. Wahlburger, no comment. Whataburger, 14. That's probably right. Burger Fi, never heard of it. Number 12, Cookout. Never heard of it. Number 11, Jack in the Box. For burgers? No, they belong further down the food chain. In fact, Whataburger belongs ahead of them. I would even argue that Burger King and certainly White Castle, Fat Burger belongs ahead of all those. Wendy's is probably better than Jack in the Box burgers, but when it comes to Jack in the Box tacos, they're pretty darn good. Now, into the top 10. Red Robin. So Red Robin, the only reason I'm going to give them an applause is because they have a big variety of burgers. Now, they have gotten a lot smaller. And I go to Red Robin every now and then, especially for the free birthday burger, which you have a full month to use. I like that idea. But Red Robin has a whole bunch of them. They say, well, among the most popular are the Royal Red Robin served with a sunny side up egg, blah, blah, blah. And the Whiskey River, that's the one that I get, the Whiskey River barbecue burger. But anyway, Red Robin has pretty good burgers. But what I like about Red Robin is the bottomless fries. And I also like the fact that they have a $4 or $5 bottomless root beer float. That's right, a bottomless root beer float. And in fact, if you don't like root beer, you can get it with Sprite, or this is what I do. I actually get it with the Fanta Orange. And so it's kind of like a dreamsicle float. And it comes with the ice cream, the whipped cream, and everything. So, hey, I'm okay with Red Robin being at the 10th most popular burger chain in America. Number 9 goes to Mooyah. Founded in Texas about 18 years ago, it's the home of the Lifestyle Burger. I've never even been there before. Introduced in 2019, the Lifestyle Burger caters to a various dietary needs and preferences, including paleo, keto, low-calorie, vegetarian, and gluten-free, whatever. I don't know. The picture they've got on Fox News is a pretty good burger with actually what they've done is they've replaced the bun with, looks like iceberg lettuce, and then there is avocado, and then the burger patty, and then they have, well, the part that I don't like, the mushroom, not really a big, no fungus among us guy. And then there's tomato. But anyway, Muya seems to be a pretty good choice at number 9. Number 8 is Wayback Burgers, another one I've never heard of. Wayback was founded in Delaware in 1991 as Jake's Hamburgers, eventually became Jake's Wayback Burgers, and then simply Wayback Burgers. And so they come in at number 8. Number 7, which these guys, in my opinion, these 5 guys belong towards the bottom of the food chain because they are a knockoff of In-N-Out Burger, and they have basically taken In-N-Out's color scheme. They've taken everything about In-N-Out for the most part and tried to duplicate it. And somehow these guys say, well, you know what, we're far enough away over in Arlington, Virginia. Nobody's ever going to know that we're trying to rip off In-N-Out Burger over in California. Well, guess what? They use the same everything, and it kind of stinks. And honestly, I'm a little disappointed with 5 guys because, in fact, I've gone there. I was there one time, and I remember the burgers were so remarkably salty and bland. It was extraordinarily mediocre. I put Carl's Jr. ahead of them all day and twice on Sunday. Now, Freddy's, I do like Freddy's. Okay, so Freddy's, founded in Wichita in 2002. Freddy's is number 6. They've got good steak burgers. They have the best onion rings that I think I've ever had. Freddy's is a solid number 6. If you've been to Freddy's, you know what I'm talking about. Number 5, Islands. Islands Fine Burgers and Drinks, and they, of course, they're found in Arizona and California. I bit into a piece of a can one time, a metal can, and sliced a tooth open, so I'm not a big fan of Islands Burgers. Number 4 is Culver's with their butter burgers. I've had one time, and it was just above mediocre. I don't think they're worthy of the number 4 spot, but apparently a lot of people do. This Wisconsin chain, they've got 1,000 restaurants now. It's crazy. Number 3 belongs to Shake Shack. And a Shake Shack, to me, seems remarkably overrated. It's one of those, started out as a hot dog cart kind of thing in New York City. I don't believe Shake Shack is that good. But then again, that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. Number 2 is another sorely overrated burger, which is Habit Burger and Grill. Of course, another one from California, known for its char-grilled burgers, blah, blah, blah. I have to tell you, I did not see the value out of this organization whatsoever. I thought their burgers were remarkably overpriced and horribly, horribly overrated. But that's just me. I think Habit is a habit that I can easily break in the idea of thinking to go there. And of course, number 1, which absolutely deserves an astounding round of applause, is In-N-Out Burger. Yes! And we'll let the applause play out. They are the kings of the burger. And of course, you can always get those signatures, doubles. If you're driving along the freeway, stop off to In-N-Out Burger, go get a double. What I do is I get a double, but I say make it a triple. For an extra $1.20, I get an extra patty and an extra slice of cheese and a triple burger. And yes, I'm a slob, but I have to tell you, folks, that is one hell of a burger. Their fries are incredible, and you watch them cut them right there in front of you. There's no games, no nothing, no nonsense, no BS. In-N-Out Burger is the king of burgers, and that's where they stand at the top of this ranking. And guess what, folks? I'm going to go get one myself. So we'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013.